Hi, and welcome to Sunday with Mike. Special shout out today to Jacques Arnett, all the way down in South Africa. On today's show, we're going to cover can your DJ business survive the times, audio app testing, Wedding Wire has been purchased, and getting AC power to your DJ equipment. Grab some coffee and join me. I'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. I hope you have your coffee. I have mine. And special shout out to Sean and his wife, and I hope she has her coffee too. Can your full-time business survive the current economy and the way that things are going right now? I'm really serious about this topic. Most DJs have never read a profit and loss statement, much less ever created one, and have no idea how a normal retail business is really run. If you don't believe me, just ask the next DJ that you talk to how much was their net profit last year and watch the funny looks that you get. I'm not here to pick on anybody. I'm not here to dog any other DJs, but I wanted to get your attention so that we could focus on this together because it's really important. So how many businesses can you think of that has gone out of business in your lifetime? How many of those were really great businesses, but they still closed? Why did they go out of business? That's what we want to know, and that's how you can grow your business and not make those same mistakes that they did. Sometimes you become obsolete because something newer took your place. This technology is really growing fast. When was the last time you held a real phone book in your hand? How about bringing a roll of film down to the drugstore to get it developed? You get the point. These huge mega companies who you would have never expected to go out of business have lost their battle with technology. Most of my life, I have heard that 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 2 years. I've even been guilty of repeating that story without knowing that it's actually true or not. It just sounded right and I believed it. Recently, while I was doing some research for this very segment, I found out that, you know what? It's not true. Here's what I discovered. 1/3 of all new businesses will fail within the first 2 years. Not 9 out of 10, 1/3. Another 15% will fail within the next 3 years. So that leaves us with about 50% of those who started their business that's still going, and the other 50% have closed down. Of those that did close their doors, why did they close? Well, 33% of them failed, and the other 17%, well, they were successful, but decided to close their doors on their own. So before you take the plunge into being a full-time DJ business, I want you to be sure to check out the link that I've shared in the description down below for the full and fascinating story on small businesses and the stats that I just shared, along with all of their data for survival. It's interesting reading, and you should pay attention.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Recently, I was chatting with John Young of the Disc Jockey News, and I mentioned to him my testing approach when I'm deciding if I would use a certain audio app or software for my events. He thought it might make a good topic, so I decided to share it today. I've been around since the first computers, and one of the issues that has come up many times over the years was something called a file in use error. What this means is that the same file, it can't be used in two places or by two different programs at the same time. For example, if we were both working at the bank and we're both trying to access the same database at the same time. This wasn't an easy fix for programmers, but they have found ways to work around it, and now this is common where we can all access it at the same time. So imagine you are playing your song with your favorite app on your phone, and a bridal party is walking really, really slow, and all of a sudden a song that should have been long enough is now not, and you're going to run out of music. Wouldn't it be great if you could load the exact same song into the other player and then crossfade it onto itself as the other song starts to fade out? I think it's great, and I look for audio playback devices that can handle this kind of use because it happens to me all the time, and I want that flexibility. So if at the last second I need to extend the song, I can just crossfade it onto itself. So the next time you want to start using a new piece of audio software or app for your DJ business, be sure to give this little test a try and make sure that if you ever need it, you could play the same song in both players at the same time, and then you know that you'll be ready to go when the unexpected does come your way. If you already use an app called DJ2, then you don't need to worry about testing this because I can already assure you it will handle it without any problem at all. In fact, it's the only app that I've used for my ceremonies in the past few years. I plug my phone directly into a powered speaker using a cable. It's just about as lightweight and as simple as you could hope for. By the way, please don't count on Bluetooth connections for something as important as a wedding. It's extremely short range and very flaky. Use a hardwired cable from your phone and don't take a chance on ruining somebody's special day with a Bluetooth connection. At least not yet. Have you heard the news? There might be some changes coming from WeddingWire in the future. I just learned that Primera Funds has become their major stockholder, and the regular staff will stay on for now. They dropped $350 million into the company and became the majority stockholder. They plan to expand the company and compete on a global scale. It's not bad for a company that's only been around for 13 years. I have no idea what will become of all the free accounts that we have with DJs all across the world. My guess is probably nothing, at least for a while. If they aren't a major force in your share of the market around the world, that might be changing because they seem to be focused on becoming bigger and continuing to span even more worldwide. While I was reading the article on this, I had no idea just how big they already were. But listen to this. 950 employees worldwide, 8 offices serving 15 countries, and their goal is to be the go-to company for the 40 million annual weddings around the globe that take place every year. Think about that number for a minute. 40 million people are still getting married around the world every year. I found fascinating reading, and I thought that you might want to read the whole entire story. John Young has posted it on the Disc Jockey News' website, and the link is shared down below in the description column for you. Hi, are you getting enough AC power to your DJ equipment? And then how would you really know anyway? I mean, think about that for a minute. Most DJs don't walk around with an amp meter in their back pocket, and so it's really tough to say. But for the purposes of this conversation, I need to let everybody know that I'm talking about 117 volts AC, 60 hertz, which is what we use here in the United States, because we do have some worldwide visitors, and so we want to make sure that everybody knows what I'm talking about. We're referencing everything to the United States, which is my home base. This subject can be tricky because, like I said, most of us don't own amp meters, wouldn't know how they worked if we had one. And so we don't really know What does all of our equipment you set up for an event, how much power are you drawing from the wall back there? Most of us have no clue. But if you opened up the manual for each one of the devices, your laptop power supply, your controller, your speakers, your subs, whatever, anything you have, if you looked up in the manual how much power it draws at maximum use, and you could write that down and calculate it up. But it's really time consuming, and what if your situation changes and you take a piece of gear out or you add a piece of gear in? You'd constantly be doing this. So you just need to have a ballpark idea. Most of us can get by with one circuit, which is 15 amps, and we get away with that. Sometimes you need two. But the biggest mistake that I see DJs making over and over again is that the main AC cord coming from the wall to their area is too small for what they're trying to do. They use really small size cords, not realizing that this is supposed to be supplying power for all of the equipment here. Whatever it is that we're using, whatever's coming from the wall has got to handle the entire load combined. So as I mentioned in our last show, I really want you to think about your power source and how you're distributing your power to your speakers and to other devices. And I keep going back to speakers because those draw the most amount of power that you're going to use, especially your subs. So we're going to do a quick little show and tell here for a minute. This is a UPS, uninterruptible power supply, and I like using this for everything that's on top of my table. That way, if somebody trips on a cord or trips off a breaker, I don't have to worry about rebooting my computer and controller because everything is still going to run because this guy is going to give me about 15 minutes of running time. So the way this works is that the power switch side is actually battery backed up, right? It's a surge protector for the whole unit, but this side will run on power even if you disconnect the AC. This side is just like an extension cord. It's just a power strip. But here's the problem with this. Look how tiny this little bitty cord is. Let me put this down for a minute so I can show you a comparison. So this, if I try plugging this directly into the wall and then coming off of these strips, I'm asking for trouble because of this tiny little cord. Instead, this is what I use from the wall to my table. So I'm going to try to hold these up side by side so you can get some reference. So the big cord goes from the wall to my table, and then I plug into that yellow block that I showed you on last week's show, and then this UPS would plug into the block. So pay attention to your cord sizes and what you're doing and how it's all working, because you want to make sure that you're going with the really large stuff to your table, and then it can start stepping down into the smaller sizes. I did find a handy extension cord guide online, and I wanted to share that with you because that comes up from time to time. So take a look at this chart, and also we're going to share the link with you down in the description below so that you can go print this out for yourself. But we're going to take the 15 amp chart, for example. So if my extension cord is under 50 feet, according to this chart, I need a 14 gauge cable to give me a full 15 amps to my table. If my cable extended from 50 to 100 feet, now all of a sudden I need a 12 gauge cable, a bigger cable, the next size up, that's reversed. So the smaller the number, the bigger the wire. So under 50 feet, I need a 14 gauge. Over 50 feet, I need a 12 gauge. But then if you look at the next chart, that same 15 amps of service, greater than 150 feet, or greater than 100 rather, is now I need a 10 gauge cable, which is huge. It's probably almost the size of your pinky. So keep this stuff in mind, and remember that the further away you're running power to your stuff, the bigger the wire has to be. And you can use this website or any other website to calculate how far away are you and what size wire do you need to make sure that you're getting adequate power to your table and speakers. So that's going to be our show for today. I hope that you will share the show with some of your friends. We're trying to collect some new viewers. Give me your thoughts down in the comments section, and be sure to give us a thumbs up. We're saving a seat for you in the Sunday with Mike Facebook group, and I hope to see you next week.